Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Again, this will be recorded and we will send this out. My name is Amanda Stevens. I work at SUNY New Paltz. We're all here today to talk to you about our computer science program, some more information and to answer some questions for students who have applied and who have been admitted to SUNY New Paltz for our MS program. So we're each going to first start out by introducing ourselves. My name is Amanda Stevens. I'm Manager of International Recruitment at SUNY New Paltz. I've hopefully met a lot of you abroad in India when I've traveled in the past, and I really hope to meet you again in New Paltz very soon.
Good morning. I'm Jennie Castro, International Student Advisor for the Center for International Programs. My role is currently transitioning, but for the past 2.5 years, I've issued all of the initial I-20s for our new incoming students, but I will be helping our STEM and OPT students in my new role.
Hi, my name is Chirakkal Easwaran. I'm a professor at the Computer Science Department at New Paltz. I have been a professor for, 30 years. I originally was, like many of you, a grad student from India, and I got my degree in Canada, and I joined SUNY New Paltz in the late 80s. So I have a long history here, and I will help you with all the processing once you get here, and with the courses, advising. I'm going to be your advisor. So that's it.
Thank you, Soren.
Hi, my name is Nithin, and I'm a computer science student here. And I'm just like you, one of you, and I'm really happy to share my experiences with you today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nithin. Nithin's going to talk a little bit later about his student experience here in the program. I'm going to start the presentation off just to give you some general facts, things you might not have known about SUNY New Paltz. And then Professor Easwaran is going to talk to you more about the courses. So we are a public university. We are part of the SUNY system, or State University of New York, which consists of 64 different colleges in the state. All public, but all different. Some community colleges, some big research universities. New Paltz has both bachelor's and master's programs. We were founded in 1828, so we have a long history in education. And a few of our rankings that you can see here, we're number 6 for public universities in the Northeast region of the United States, according to US News and World Report. We're also ranked as number 3 out of all of the SUNY schools in the system. So number 3 out of those 64 public schools here in New York. And we were recently voted as number 3 best small town in America as well. And when students come here, they really can see the beauty of our area. We are in a beautiful region with all 4 seasons. So you will experience snow, but you'll also experience beautiful fall, spring, and summer. And it's a really safe location for students. There's a lot of different things to do and a lot of history in our area as well. But also we have very easy access to New York City. So you can see from the map here, we're about 1.5 hours to 2 hours away from Manhattan and JFK Airport by bus. So we have a bus right in our town of New Paltz, walking distance from campus, that students can take directly into the city. So it allows students to really have the best of both worlds, the small town college experience on a really traditional American campus, but also access to go to Manhattan, the Big Apple, and experience all the exciting things the city has to offer. And some students even do internships there as well. So it's a really great area to be. We do pick up students from JFK Airport normally as well. So when you do arrive, you don't have to worry about finding your way to us. And we do a lot of trips too, cultural trips to different cities like New York City and sometimes Boston or DC. So it gives students a really good opportunity to see more of the Northeast region of the United States. And we offer many different bachelor's programs, around 50 master's programs. But today we're going to talk to you about our MS in Computer Science, since all of you here have either been admitted already or still applying and finishing the process. So I'm going to turn it over to right now to Professor Easwaran to tell you more about that.
Hi. So as I introduced myself before, I'm the professor in the computer science department, and I'm also the chair of the department. And I want to give you a brief overview of who we are. So we have 7 full-time faculty. All of us are PhDs in computer science or mathematics or related fields. And most of us are published in international journals, and all but one of us are tenured faculty. We also have a bunch of adjunct professors who are experts from the industry, especially IT and health, as well as security industries. So they teach different courses in our department too. Okay. Our student body is very diverse. We have students from everywhere, pretty much, mostly from India. I think probably 70–80% of our students are from India. And we also have people from the US and some few people from China and a few other countries, but mostly India, US, and a few from China. That's our population. And so for those of you coming from India, I think it's a great opportunity to make friends and network. And these networks are, lifelong friendships and connections that are very valuable, just as valuable as your education are these connections. So it's in addition to all the instruction and courses you take, I think that you should think of this as a great asset that you make. We are located in what's called the Science Hall, which is a relatively new building. It was built 3 or 4 years ago. It's an amazing space. It's one of the best spaces that we have on campus. It's very open plan. So there's a lot of light, and people can sit in groups all over the place. You can have small meetings. So it's a very inviting place, and Nithin probably can tell you more about it. But it's a very welcoming place, and you can hang out there. It's a nice place to hang out. And we have a few classes in those buildings, but we also have classrooms in other buildings. But this is where most of our hanging out happens. Now, about the computer science program itself. First of all, it's a 30-credit program. We have 30 credits or 10 courses because the graduate courses are 3 credits each. So you have 10 courses. And typically students complete this in 3 semesters plus a summer. That's the quickest you can do. Or you can actually prolong it and take full 4 semesters to complete the program. It's actually a very broad-based program where you learn some of the most basic principles of computing, as well as develop particular technical skills in different areas of computing. So you will learn things like algorithms and data structures, which are basic to everything in computing. You will also learn things like cybersecurity if you are interested in it, computer networks, data analysis, machine learning, all kinds of stuff. So we span both fundamentals and advanced technical knowledge. And towards the end of your program, after you have taken enough courses, you can look for internships or what we call field work. So this is work that you do outside campus. So that in this area, Mid-Hudson area of New York, there are many companies that will hire you as an intern, and you can work there and use the work as a course, and that's called the field work. So you get practical experience by doing those internships or fieldworks. You also have an opportunity to do research with professors and write a thesis, which takes a bit longer, but if you're interested in pursuing advanced studies, that's a viable option so that you get deeper into one subject. Okay. Here's a listing of some of the courses we have that we usually offer or we have offered in the last few semesters. So going through this, you'll see that there are basic courses like advanced data structures and algorithms and database, computer systems, and also specialized courses like artificial intelligence, data analysis, cloud systems, cybersecurity, and web programming. So those span most of the current interest in computer science. And the first few courses are the foundational ones. So the courses span the whole spectrum of possible computer courses, so that in the end you end up with a hopefully solid foundation in computer science. Projects and research. So the faculty in computer science department work, they're all research professors and they all work in different areas of computing. They have research areas of specialization, and you can, if you're interested in doing research in one of these areas, you can try to talk to them and see if you could do a thesis with them. So for example, Professor Chen is an expert in machine learning and data analysis, and quite a few of our students, 3 or 4 students, have done thesis with her and published work in machine learning. Just recently, we had a student complete a thesis, master's thesis in cybersecurity with a professor in IBM and SUNY New Paltz. So there are opportunities for research if you're interested in that, but you can also get a master's without doing research, but just doing practical work. So thesis, by the way, is 6 credits, which means that you take 24 credits for courses and 6 credits for thesis. Okay. So we have a bunch of online courses already being offered. Like for example, right now I teach a course in data analytics that is online, and it's always online. But in the coming fall semester for new students, we expect to offer at least 3 online courses. These are the 3 courses that we offer the incoming students are these: the programming and data structures, which is a basic programming course, and the database course, and an intro to machine learning course. These will be offered online to all the students who want to take them, who are enrolled in our program as a first semester students. So these are for students who may not be actually coming to New Paltz in the fall, but want to start their program. So they will have an option to take 1, 2, or 3 of these courses, which will be offered online. So the course, all right. So the courses we offer are asynchronous, which probably most of you know what that means. It's course where you can see the notes, lectures, assignments, everything, and you can do them when you want to do them. You don't have to listen to the lectures as the lecture is being given. That's asynchronous. So you can do it at your own pace within the deadline. And the instructions, we use Blackboard for all our instructions online. And anybody who registers for a course will have access to Blackboard. And you can, it's browser based, so you can access Blackboard through your web browser. And you will have interaction with faculty using what's called WebEx, WebEx is a Cisco platform for web conferencing. So professors usually hold office hours, and you will get to talk to them directly on WebEx office hours. So if you have questions, you can clear that, or if you want to talk to your colleagues or your friends, you can do that through WebEx office hours. You can also use a discussion board that Blackboard hosts to talk to other students. You can ask questions to other students, and like if you have a question on a particular topic, you can post it on discussion board, and somebody, either the instructor or one of your colleagues, one of the other students, may be able to answer your question. So it gives you a wide option to interact with other people, even though you're not physically here.
So I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit more about online courses. Normally for new students, you'd be coming here to campus, and we hope that's the case this fall as well. But obviously with the current pandemic, we want to make sure all of your options are there in front of you. And Jennie is going to talk more later about the status at New Paltz with that. So for online courses, obviously as international students, your goal is to go to the United States and experience that immersion abroad. But we realize some may not have that opportunity for this fall in particular for various reasons. So some reasons to consider online courses as an option are, for example, you will not have to delay the start of your studies. So rather than waiting until January or next fall, you can start right away, and you can do so from your home back in India. You can set your own schedule as well and be very flexible. So if you're wanting to work while you're at home and taking some online courses before starting up physically on our campus after that, that's something that you can do. And this will also allow you in the time being to interact with other students and faculty virtually during that time period before you physically come to campus. And then also you'll be able to save some money if you take online classes this fall. You can see the cost comparison here. So the first column is for 3 courses during a normal semester. So it's $8,600 about, and less than $3,000 per course. But for students who are taking online courses outside of New York State, so from India, for example, the cost would be about $5,000 for 3 courses, or about $1,600 per course. So by taking online courses this fall, if you are unable to come in August, you'll be able to save money while going through this option. So we want to make sure that students are aware of the different options they have during this time. Jennie now is going to talk a little bit about what is going on right now with COVID-19 at New Paltz.
Sorry about that. First of all, I hope everyone is safe and their families and loved ones are all doing well. We at New Paltz are working remotely, as you can tell from our Zoom backgrounds. But what we've done within the Center for International Programs is from our own homepage, newpaltz.edu/ISS, we have created a COVID-19 page with resources specifically for international students, with some specific links and information in regards to immigration status and how that is affected or not affected, as well as on-campus resources that are specific, not specific for international students, but just kind of bringing light to some of the resources that are still available on campus, even though we're working remotely. Additionally, from our page, we also link directly to the COVID-19 page that is sponsored by the campus, which is information that is being shared with the entire campus community and affects not only international students, but all students on campus. So our biggest concern, or our biggest goal in this actually, is that we're able to share information with students as needed to make sure that you have all of the resources to make the best decision that you can. So as we're moving through the the admission process, as Amanda said, some of you have already been admitted, some of you are still working on your application cycle, but we also understand that this is a time of uncertainty in terms of the pandemic, whether it's personal concerns, whether it's unfortunately the consular office not having enough slots to get a visa in time. You may be thinking about an immigration deferral, so or a deferral to begin your studies later. So there's a couple of different things. I like to say that your immigration status and your academic studies should always run parallel, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And this could be a very good example of that. So for students who decide to enroll academically, you're not asking for an academic deferral, you're asking for a deferral of your I-20. So you want to start your F1 status in January. For immigration deferrals, I would advise that you actually email international@newpaltz.edu. In terms of an academic deferral, you would email graduate studies@newpaltz.edu. And if you can't remember who, just email international and we'll definitely help you sort all of that out. If you do request a deferral of your I-20, we will require updated bank statements. It's a requirement of the I-20 issuance process, but of course, we'll email that to you. In terms of mailing I-20s, some of you may have received a paper I-20. Most of you have received what we're referring to as an e-I-20, which is a scanned copy. And back in March, when things really changed here in the United States, we were given guidance that we could issue electronic I-20s, and so most of our students have actually received those, and you can use those to apply for your visa, enter the country. But again, if you decide that deferring your status to come at a later date, then we'll work with each of you individually to determine what is what our current practice is. Right now, we're still issuing I-20s. We think it's a great opportunity in terms of being able to get documents quicker to students, and so we'll work with students individually on that process. So we have a graduate international orientation. So if classes are seated, and that is what we are planning for and expecting for at SUNY New Paltz, as Amanda said, SUNY New Paltz is one of 64 campuses. And so we don't make decisions for ourselves. We have a chancellor who works with all of our presidents and the board of directors to decide what is the best and safest practice for all of our universities. So as of today, and as of right now, we are moving towards offering seated classes and therefore a seated orientation for those students who do arrive on campus in August. It is a full day orientation. It begins with actually airport pickup on Tuesday, August 18th. You all received information about it with your I-20 information. The following day, which is Wednesday, August 19th, is our full day orientation. And that includes a welcome from the administration, usually our president, followed by a number of different campus resources that are available to all students, not just international students. The Graduate Studies Office comes and speaks to students about your program. Program coordinators and chairs like Easwaran are present as well to talk about some of the expectations of the program and being at a grad program in the United States. We also have an immigration session where we discuss your F1 status and really what it means to be newly admitted F1 student, and also we talk a little bit about what your goals are in terms of your F1 status, and how to maintain your status while you're in the United States, because in order to receive the benefits such as OPT, you have to maintain your status. So as I like to say, you need to know the rules in order to follow the rules, and that's what that session is really about. And then it's followed up with course registration and finalizing your course registration and plan of study for your program. Obviously, if you're not here, you can't be in a seated orientation. So we will offer an online and orientation welcome, and that'll be for our students who are back in their home country, who have decided that they'd rather start their program online. It will obviously not incorporate all of the features of our seated orientation, but many will be very similar, even though you won't be on campus, you'll still have access to a number of different resources available online, and we'll be sure to highlight what those resources are and how to easily access them from home as well. And we'll have a number of speakers welcoming you to New Paltz as well. So what's going on with OPT? It's a question I ask myself, it seems like daily. As I mentioned, my role at the Center for International Programs is shifting, and I'm working more closely with our OPT and STEM students. And sadly, OPT is under attack in the United States through our current government. But I do offer, I think, some hope in that recently our House of Representatives wrote a letter, mostly Republicans who have traditionally been opposed to OPT, but they wrote a letter of support to the Department of Homeland Security, really trying to highlight the strengths and the importance of OPT, not only to universities in the United States, but really to the different parts of businesses and innovation in the United States. Without foreign students coming and participating in OPT, it really changes the landscape of both our education system as well as our innovation that happens in this country. So what I can say is that right now, I'm helping students apply for OPT. I'm helping students apply for STEM extensions. I'm updating employer information. I am hopeful that we will continue to be able to offer OPT as a benefit. And really, in terms of the attack, it is, although something that we don't control individually, I think many of us are writing letters to our government officials explaining the importance again of OPT, and hopefully they will listen. And hopefully if there are changes, they will be for the betterment and to continue to promote what a great opportunity OPT is for international students.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm going to pass it over now to Nithin, one of our students, to talk more about his experience at SUNY New Paltz.
Hi everyone, my name is Nithin. I already introduced you to myself, and talking about New Paltz, I came here in last spring in January, and I used the airport pickup, which is one of the best part in my life, where I made a lot of international friends in the airport itself. And I'm a student in computer science, and the courses in computer science are really like they are really helpful. Even if you are not from computer science background student, if you put a little effort, you can be a master in computer science courses. So if like a few students asked me in Unibuddy, like if I'm not from computer science, is it worth to take the masters in computer science at New Paltz? And I said, this is my answer. Like, the courses are structured like from scratch to top level. Like, in the first semester we have the data structures with Java, which is a basic fundamental course for everyone in computer science. Like, if you are already a computer science student, that would be a plus for you. And if you are not a computer science, you don't really need to worry. Like, you can, if you put a little effort, you can go through that and you can really do wonders. And New Paltz is really a beautiful and safest place, I can say, so far. And coming to on campus, like, a few students asked me about assistantships. Yeah, we do have a lot of teaching assistantships and graduate assistantships on campus, like in different departments. Like, you can really get if you work as a teaching assistant, you'll be able to interact with a lot of professors, and you'll get an idea about a course in deeper level, like the level where you can teach the course. And if you work as a graduate assistant in any department, you'll be able to know about the American working system. Or, you know, if you go directly to a company after your masters, it would be a little uncomfortable. But if you work as a student assistant or graduate assistant on campus, it would help you to do better in your future jobs, especially in United States. And like, I made a lot of friends in here through the events that happen on campus, through the clubs that are going on campus. There are a lot of clubs. The one that I usually attend is International Student Union, where all the international students gather and make some activities every week, twice a week, something like that. So you can really make some friends and then plan some trips. A lot of things you can do around here. There are a lot of places around New Paltz, like Mohonk, you can look it up, which is one of the best tourism spot in New York. And it's really great to be a student in New Paltz. And coming to our staff, Professor Easwaran is one of the coolest professor I ever met, and all of our professors are really helpful, like responding to emails or anything. They're really helpful. You don't need to worry about the response or anything. They're highly talented. And coming to our international student programs, like, as I'm an international student, I always seek help. That's the only place that I seek help for anything other than my academic thing is international office, obviously. So as you can see, Amanda and Jennie here. Amanda is the best speaker I ever met, and Jennie is more like actions speak louder than words. Like, and thank you for everything you helped me. Yeah, I'm really happy to share my experiences here. There are a lot of experiences, but thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Nithin. If I'm being honest, that made me a little emotional, but I really appreciate you sharing your experiences with everybody here today. Right now, we're going to open it up to questions for everybody watching. If anybody would like to ask any of us, me, Nithin, Easwaran, or Jennie, any questions that you have, you can feel free to ask in the Q&A section or in the chat box now. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, Nithin talked a little bit about assistantships, and some asked about that in the chat box. And Easwaran, I was wondering if you can speak a little bit more to how students can get an assistantship and the funding that is involved with those.
Okay. So the assistantships that we offer in the department are called teaching assistantships. These are but some of our undergraduate courses have a lab component where grad students will help undergraduate students. Like, for example, we have a Computer Science 1 and Computer Science 2, which are the foundation courses in computer science. So we actually need a bunch of TAs to teaching assistants to conduct those labs. So the teaching assistant works either full-time, which is 20 hours a week, or half-time, which is 10 hours a week. And they will do 2 labs and do some grading, and they get some compensation for it. And more than that, I think you get a great experience interacting with local students, professors, getting to know how the teaching system works, using Blackboard as a TA, as a teaching tool. So that's how you become familiar with the system that you probably are not familiar with coming from India. And the way you get a teaching assistantship is at the towards the end of each semester, we will put out a call for teaching assistantships, and you apply for it. And depending on your grades the previous semester, depending on recommendation from other faculty, you can you can actually write in your application why you should be a TA, and based on your grades, recommendations, and your own application, we will select possible TAs. That's how TAs happen. And usually we have about 5 full-time, which is 10 half-time TA positions each semester in the department.
Thank you, Easwaran. We also have a general graduate assistantship. So like Nithin had one in our office, the international office, rather than teaching, doing some office work too. So there are other opportunities as well as general part-time jobs available on campus. Any other questions that students have? One person did ask about whether we have any WhatsApp or Facebook groups for incoming students, which we do. I'm going to share the link to our Facebook group, and we'll be creating a WhatsApp group later this week, and we'll send that by email to everybody for you to access. And then another student asked about when we will know about the decision regarding online classes or not, which is a difficult question. I don't know if Jennie, you want to try to tackle this as best as we can.
Yeah, so as I mentioned and was mentioned previously, New Paltz is one of 64 campuses, and it's not a decision, first, that's taken lightly. Secondly, it's not really taken by New Paltz directly. We will be informed by our chancellor, who oversees all 64 campuses, what is acceptable. Right now, not only New Paltz, but all of the universities are working through a number of different scenarios to determine what will be best, not only for the university itself, but ultimately what is going to be best for our students in terms of the fall semester. And as soon as we know, we'll be sure to share that information with all newly accepted students.
Thank you, Jennie. Another question here is whether if they take online courses this fall 2020, are they still eligible for a summer internship? I'm assuming summer 2021.
So if you were to take online classes in the fall and begin your F1 status in January, the requirement to be eligible for curricular practical training or a fieldwork experience would be that you need to be in valid F1 status for at least 1 academic year. So students wouldn't be eligible for CPT in the spring semester. But I did write myself a note because typically the students do a 3-3-3-1 semester, but they would be eligible for a the final semester CPT or internship or fieldwork experience. However, all the same, just different words to describe the same same experience. So if you started spring, fall, And then spring, that would be an opportunity. So it'd be spring 2021 for an internship experience. Also, beginning classes beginning your F1 status in January would not impact your eligibility for OPT either. You would be eligible to apply for optional practical training if you began your academic classes in the fall semester online.
Thank you. Here is another question in the chat box. If we get our F1 visa in October or even November, can we come to campus?
So no, I don't think that that would be possible, because your F1 stat or your I-20 will have a either an August start date or a January start date. If you get your visa in late September, October, November, it would have to be to begin your F1 status in January. You wouldn't be eligible or able to come in the middle of the semester to complete your online classes in the United States. And we'll work with each of you individually to determine what documents you need to ensure that you have the right documents to enter the United States at the time that you're going to enter.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other questions here? Okay, there's one thing I did want to show students, a resource that we have that would allow you to speak to our other students here on campus right now. So this is a chat feature that we have on our website through a company called Unibuddy. It's right on our website located here, and I'll send the link in the chat as well. But this is an area on our website where you can chat with our current students. So you can search by level of study. So if they're postgraduate or area of study, computer science, and that will filter out all of our student ambassadors who are taking our computer science program. So we have 3 that are on there right now that you can chat with. It has their bio to learn more about them as well. If you want to just in general talk about all of our student ambassadors from India, there are students in different programs who are ambassadors as well. And then you can also read different blogs that the students have written about their experiences here. So on many different topics, including taking online courses as an international student, how to get through this current pandemic, a lot of resources from students there, but also just general information about their, what activities they participated in, jobs they had on campus, classes they liked, how to look for internships, a lot of different topics. So it's a good way to really hear from students what it's like to be studying at New Paltz. And Nithin is on here as well. So if you'd like to chat more with him, you can do so. We also have different staff profiles here. So me and Jennie are on here, as well as others in our department, if you would like to chat with us this way. But aside from that, we do have our WhatsApp here too that goes to me at the moment. So if you want to WhatsApp with me any questions that you have, you can do that. You can also send us an email that includes Easwaran's email. Let's see, I think a few more questions have popped up and we want to make sure to get to those. Here is one. What are some specialization courses available at SUNY New Paltz for Masters in Computer Science students?
Okay. So there is a previous slide that showed a bunch of courses. And if you look at towards the bottom half of that, you'll see courses in machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and cybersecurity, as well as web programming. Yes, the previous one, yes. So the bottom, starting from data analysis, data analytics, those are specialization courses. And the first 3 are kind of generic courses that applies to the foundations of computer science. So that's only a partial list. So sometimes we have different professors from industry coming in, and they will offer a course, a specialization course. For example, computer networks, or neural networks is a course that we occasionally offer because somebody from industry like IBM will come and offer that course. But these, the machine learning, data science, cloud systems, and web programming are offered regularly.
Thank you, Easwaran. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one benefit of this program is how flexible it is for students to really build their program of study based on their interests, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as possible, we try to cast a wide net so that anybody who has interest in most fields can find something.
That's great. A couple more questions here regarding online classes and deferral. So one student is asking when the deadline would be for them to make a decision on deferment. They want to do classes on campus rather than online, but they're still waiting to hear back on the status of visas in India. So they want to know when's the last possible moment they could defer in case in July they're able to get their visa.
So as I mentioned, we would typically your immigration status and your academic status go hand in hand. So I think the question would be, are you looking to defer your I-20 or are you looking to defer your coursework? So in terms of your coursework, the Graduate Studies Office is extremely flexible in terms of deferral. You can defer through the first week of classes and say, you know what, unfortunately I'm not able to make it. And certainly email us at any point that you decide that you want to defer your classes and begin in January. In terms of your immigration status, we also try to offer the most amount of flexibility as possible, but with the understanding that it is not simply us processing as well. So we have to issue an I-20. That I-20 needs to be issued through the US government, and typically that happens instantaneously, but there are situations where it may take a couple of days. So again, I think as long as you're making that decision within 6 weeks of your arrival time, you should be fine. So a student who wants to come in January, we want to make sure that we have enough time to get you your I-20 for you to be able to apply for your visa and ultimately get here for the spring semester. So I would say sometime in November, but the sooner the better.
Thank you, Jennie. Last class, I'm not sure if maybe Easwaran, you would want to answer this. They're asking whether, if there are any labs or classes that require students to be present in class. I'm thinking concern with if they're online classes only, what if the content requires in-class work? But I believe you talked about, at least for the first semester, that all classes can be 100% online without issue. Is that right?
Yes. There'll be no problem with having the whole entire program online, I think. But in terms of the academic content, we can teach all of computer science online. And some universities actually do have that program. So that's the base answer, that you can have. There are no courses for which you need to be on campus. You need to be actually in a lab. Having said that, the reason to be on campus is the experience you get interacting with faculty and other students and being a TA, participating in different events that happen. For example, we have lecturers coming and giving talks once every few weeks. We have a lecturer coming talking about their specialties. So those are the different things that help you when you're on campus. But in terms of the academic content itself, I think there's no reason to be on campus. So at least for the first semester, you'll be fine taking everything online. Okay.
Thank you. I think obviously, our students you want to have that cultural experience too, that immersion and being on our college campuses, and we all absolutely want that too. I think the discussions about online courses are really for those alternatives as options for students who are unable to get visas, or if you're unable to come to campus for other reasons regarding the pandemic. And you know, we talked about some reasons why you might consider that, including cost, it being less expensive if you're taking online courses in India, allowing you to not delay the start of your study, having a very flexible schedule while still connecting virtually with faculty and staff, rather than waiting for all of that to start in January. So it's just an option to consider, but as we mentioned, you do have the choice to defer if you wish. Another question here regarding I-20s for Jennie. A student is saying they have their physical I-20 for fall, and if they want to defer for spring, would they get an updated I-20?
Yes, definitely. So if you look carefully at your I-20, it has an August start date, and we would, of course, update that to have a January start date. Your end date for your program would also change. So yes, submit the request for a deferral, and we would certainly update that I-20 for you.
Thank you. Another student suggested, and maybe you could talk about this too, Jennie, might not be something we know the answer to really, but if they do take online courses, would the visa process be easier? I'm not sure if that's the word we want to use or not, to attend classes in January.
So very good question, and one that I discuss, I feel, often. So when you go in for your visa interview, one of the things that a student has to prove is that they're coming to the US to be a student, that they are, to use the actual term, is a bona fide student. I personally think that taking a class or two or three during this time as you prepare, because you weren't able to get a visa interview, proves that you are, you're in what your intent is, that you've invested time, money, energy into starting this program. So if you ask me personally, yes, I do think that it is perhaps helpful. But as all of us know, we all have, as you as students have had friends that have applied for visas, there is a certain level of uncertainty as well. So I can't guarantee that, yes, this will, if you do this, you'll be getting a visa. But I do think that it shines the light on the fact that you are a bona fide student, that this is what your true intent is.
Thank you, Jennie. Another question here is about housing for master's students. We at New Paltz have dormitory housing only for undergraduate students. So our master's level students live off campus in apartments or rooms for rent, different options that are walking distance to campus. Often students, might have a house with a bunch of students sharing that in different rooms, or you might have a 2-bedroom apartment. Nithin, if you're still here with us, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with housing?
Yeah. Housing is like, you can see a link available on our website where you can find different websites and different houses. Like a few people might post like they're ready to share the room with you, or like you can meet some people there and then you can share house. Like that's how like you can talk to some current students and you can come here, you can stay at their places, and like mostly the best way you can find a house is like through our website, through that link. Like when you click that link, it will display all the available houses available, so you can make phone calls to them. So if there is a vacancy, you can get through it.
Thank you, Nithin. I'd also add that the Facebook group and through WhatsApp is a good way to connect with other students too who are looking for housing. And I encourage all of you to think about housing with American students or international students from other countries. Your purpose for studying abroad is to get to know other cultures in addition to getting a U.S. education. And One of the best ways you can do that is living with someone from another country, and helps you to challenge yourself, to grow, and to really learn about other cultures in the most immersed way possible. So don't limit yourself to students that, or friends that you know already that are going, or people only from your hometown or country. Think about, broadening those options to live with students who are from the area or other countries as well. And I'm here to help you as well. If you get really stuck, I can try to help send some options to you in regards to housing, if you have exhausted all online searching possibilities. Any last questions before we wrap up this session today that we can answer for you? If you do think of questions later on, we have, again, my WhatsApp number is here. You can send a message to. We can go to this chat website to talk to our current students if it's about the student experience. You can email the international office or Easwaran if it's about courses specifically. Yes. One final question that popped in that's an easy answer. New Paltz is 90 minutes from New York City. Any benefits to that? And absolutely. We're about an hour and a half drive to Manhattan, about 2 hours from JFK. Traffic is always depends on traffic, how long it really takes, but it's usually on average about an hour and a half. And I think there's a lot of benefits to this for students to have the cultural experience in the city. Some students have internships as well, or can find OPT opportunities there. So I think there are a lot of benefits. Nithin, is there anything you'd like to add about that?
Sorry, Amanda.
About New York City and our proximity to the city.
Yeah, New York City, like the first experience with New York City is that trip that was made by international student programs. Like, we have different trips to different places. To the school, they'll take you to different trips. The first one that they'll take you to is New York City, and they'll leave you at some place so you can get around and know the city. And there are a lot of things that you can do in New York City, Statue of Liberty and places around it. Like, it's not too far, 90 minutes. I don't know. There are a lot of things, yeah. But my first experience with New York City is the trip that was made by international student programs, yeah.
Great, thank you. One student asked for Nithin's phone number, but unfortunately we do not share the direct contact of our current students without their permission, but where you can talk to him is on the chat website that I shared in the chat box here, this link. You can go to that link and find Nithin's profile to chat with him online there and ask him questions directly. That is him that will answer those questions there. But if you want to talk to me through WhatsApp, that number is listed on this. So I think we're going to wrap up the conversation at the moment. This has been recorded, so we will send it to everyone in case you came in late to watch. We'll also send it to anyone else who was unable to join us today if you have friends who missed it. And if you want to check the status of your application, the link is up at the top that says admissions. You can log back in, finish your application if you haven't done so, to add documents, or just to check the decision status as well. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope that you all stay very safe during this time. We hope to have more information for you soon. And I want to thank especially Jennie, Easwaran, and Nithin for joining us for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And
have a great evening over there, and hope to see you in New Paltz soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.